This week on MHK All Day, we'll take a look at what it's like to be a campus rep for a business. Also, Student Body President Jordan Keel joins reporter Zach Perez for a donut run. Stay tuned to hear about her experience as Student Body President. And if you're still looking for somewhere to live in Manhattan next semester, we have some information you should know before you sign a lease. All of this and more coming up. This is MHK All Day.
Earlier this week, we tweeted at a poll asking people in the area if they've had issues with their car due to bad weather. About 60% of the participants voted yes. We'll be back soon as I speak with Vivian about what steps the city takes before bad weather hits.
Good morning and welcome to the first episode of MHK All Day. I'm Bridget Howard. Thanks for joining us. Up first, we'll take a look at a few stories making headlines in Manhattan and around Riley County in 90 seconds. Student Body presidential candidate Ryan Kelly was officially disqualified yesterday morning after being put on sanction for a week. On Wednesday, a video of a phone call with Kelly saying he wanted to be disqualified was shared on Twitter by PJ Hopfinger.
Why would you file a violation for your own campaign?
That's also a good question. At this point, dude, we're done. Like, we've been paralyzed. Like, we're financially incapable of doing anything, realistically. So at this point, like, we're looking for a disqualification.
The Kelly campaign had 5 violations overall. The violations included issues with expense reports, campaigning location, and website development violations. The Aggieville Community Vision Project is beginning to take shape, a plan that sets out potential ways to renovate the district. City planners have looked for ways to improve Aggieville's safety, accessibility, and friendliness to pedestrians. One of the first projects of the Aggieville Community Vision is the construction of a parking garage at the already existing lot near Rally House at the intersection of Manhattan and Laramie. Community members should be on the lookout for changes in the coming months and years. Pete Souza, who is the official White House photographer for Presidents Reagan and Obama, is featuring some of his most iconic photographs on display at K-State's Beach Museum of Art. The exhibit, Pete Souza, 2 Presidents, 1 Photographer, showcases some of the most famous pictures snapped throughout the presidencies of Reagan and Obama. Souza, who finished his master's degree at K-State in 2006, will be on campus March 5th to talk about the exhibit and his work in detail. Definitely worth a few minutes of your time to swing by and take a look. And those are your updates for this week's News in 90. Now, something that's been on everyone's minds lately is the weather we've been experiencing in Manhattan. We've had a pretty tough winter this year. Not only has it been tough on our cars, but the roads in the city as well. Reporter Bree Smith is live right now in the midst of the cold weather with Vivian Uccello to tell us more about how the city prepares the road before a big storm.
Thanks, Bridget. I'm here outside of the City Hall with Manhattan's Public Information Officer, Vivian. Vivian, what steps does the city take to prepare before bad weather hits?
So the first thing we do is keep a close eye on the weather conditions. So we know that we're expecting a lot of rain with this next storm. It's supposed to start this afternoon. We're taking advantage of the dry conditions right now to repair as many potholes as we possibly can. I'm sure you've seen it's pretty crazy out there. The freeze and thaw conditions have just created more potholes really than we've ever seen in the city. So we've got those folks out making repairs right now. As soon as the snow starts, we'll have crews deployed treating and plowing streets. So we treat with either sodium or sodium chloride based on how cold the temperatures are and how effective that mixture is going to be. We've got 14 trucks and guys who take 12-hour shifts, and we cover the streets 24 hours a day to try to make those road conditions safe for everybody.
Perfect. And what tips would you have for people that have to travel no matter what during bad weather?
The first thing to do is slow down. You need to reduce your speed greatly as roads are going to be slick. You're going to have less control over your car. The next step is to double your stopping distance. So if you're coming up to a stop sign, you're going to apply the brake a lot sooner than you normally would because it's going to take a lot more time for that car to slow down. Next, you should have an emergency kit in your car, especially if you have to travel any sort of distance like on I-70, that has emergency warming equipment, flashlights, a shovel. You can find information online at the FEMA website about a good emergency kit to keep in your car. And make sure you stay warm, make sure your car is in good repair, and also check your battery. That's one thing that commonly goes bad in bad weather. Your battery will fail and then you'll be stuck. So.
Well, thank you, Vivian. Now we're going to take a look at what steps the K-State campus does before bad weather hits. The KU-K-State rivalry continues as the snow piles up in both Lawrence and Manhattan. Even though the two universities are close in proximity, KU has had a handful of snow days this winter, while K-State remains with 0. Matt Miller, a meteorologist out of Topeka, says the hilly terrain in the Jayhawk territory might have something to do with this.
People forget about when you go to the campuses and you compare the two, it is a lot flatter at K-State than it is at KU. And so walking around, driving around campus that's hilly is going to have a little bit more of a concern than an area that's flatter.
Miller says the hills are a huge concern for ice, but overall, worse weather is what led to the canceled classes.
One of the reasons why one particular day it was obviously a lot colder over the far eastern side of the state and wind chills were a lot lower. That can prompt differences when you have a lot of people walking around.
With below freezing temperatures and inches of built-up snow, why doesn't K-State just use a snow day? Jeff Morris, K-State's Vice President of Communications and Marketing, says the university isn't allotted actual snow days, but each student is responsible for their own decision-making regarding their safety.
Our people are all adults, so we trust them to try to make adult decisions about whether or not their personal safety should be compromised.
Manhattan has been in freezing temperatures and flooded with snow on the streets and on the K-State campus since students have returned from winter break, and all classes at the university have carried on through the snowy days. Morris says oftentimes campus remains open, but the deciding committee is understanding and is aware many students have other obligations.
Also had a greater realization that more and more of our students are non-traditional. About 40% of our students are non-traditional, so they may have a family or school kids. You know, one of our triggers here is if the Manhattan schools close, well, we have parents that have to go get their kids.
Cindy Bontrager, K-State's Vice President for Administration and Finance, says the decision to cancel is never an easy one to make.
With weather events, my experience has been each one is unique. They're not strategic, they come whenever they come.
Canceling classes is more complicated than students not coming to learn. Many university employees are still required to work to help ensure the safety of those who live on campus.
Students who live on campus, and so we have employees that we need to make sure they're here. We refer to them as essential employees. So if there are times of bad weather, they're required to be here to take care of our students.
K-State administration ultimately wants students to make the right decision for themselves in their own personal safety. In Manhattan, Brianne Smith, MHK All Day.
Thanks for the update, Bree. Don't go anywhere because after the break, we have the inside scoop on what it takes to be the student body president at Kansas State University.
I email my professors, I get an answer. They're participating in the discussion boards. You just feel really connected, and that was a unique experience for me. I'm not new to distance programs. I'm a military wife. Been to 6 different colleges in 4 different states, so I've definitely taken some online classes, and K-State does it very differently, and they pull it off beautifully. I don't know how, but I'm just glad.
Welcome to K-State. We're so excited all of you came to visit us here on campus. We're going to be starting our tour here in front of Anderson Hall, which is our administrative building and kind of our iconic building on campus. It houses our president's office and our vice president for student life. All right, let's get started. We're going to be going to the Union next. It houses our pool.
I had taken online classes before, but Kansas State was really great because it was so organized, and like all the teachers and professors were so helpful, and they just went beyond to help me to get the degree that I was looking for.
h1 minus h2 plus v1 squared minus v2 squared all over 2.
Welcome back to MHK All Day. I'm here with reporter Zach Perez, who recently went on a donut run with student body president Jordan Keel. So tell me how it went.
It was actually really fun just getting to sit down with Jordan. We talked a little bit about just kind of what inspired her to get into SGA, what it's been like for her to be president, and some advice that she'd like to give the future candidates.
That's awesome. Well, let's take a look at the interview.
Thank you for joining me on the first official episode of Donut Run, and I am joined by Jordan Keel, the current SGA president, student body president. So, Jordan, first question, and very important question. Why'd you choose the cinnamon donut?
You know, it's just a classic go-to donut. You can't go wrong with it. It's never bad. You know?
All right,
Yeah.
awesome. Well,
Okay.
Yeah. As you know, we're currently getting ready for the next student body president election. So I kind of just wanted to ask you, what was it like for you running, and what was the election process like for you?
Yeah. Oh wow. It feels like yesterday, and also feels like a million years ago that I was running. I don't know. Election season was such an interesting time because it's a lot is going on constantly. You're very sleep deprived, but it's also a lot of fun because you have a campaign team that's just like 100% behind you, and so having that kind of support around you all the time is just really cool to see, and you get to know a lot of different people. So there are people on my campaign that I had never met before. I started running, and then through mutual friends, they were like, yeah, I'm interested in helping out, like let me do something for you. And so that was fun just to get to know people outside of kind of my normal classes or organizations that just wanted to help out. And then definitely going out and meeting with student groups was cool just to see a different side of K-State and places that I really hadn't been. I'm in the engineering building all the time, but I'd never been to the computer science wing, and then we went and talked to one of their clubs, and so just getting to know different students like that was fun.
What kind of inspired you to get into student government? Were you a senator first, or did you just go straight into the presidency?
Yeah, no, oh gosh, I could never do that. I don't know who would be crazy enough to just dive right in. I think I would be way too overwhelmed for that. But I started out as an intern my freshman year. That was a cool experience just to get to see sort of behind the scenes and get a little bit more information. It's like getting your foot in the door to SGA, and then from there it kind of was my springboard to everything else. So I was intern coordinator my second year and a senator for the College of Engineering. And then junior year I was chief of staff, which is where I really started kind of considering running for student body president, because I was working so closely with the student body president and vice president at the time, and just being able to see everything that they were being able to do and how much influence they had when they were speaking with administrators and bringing student concerns forward. I felt like there were enough things that I was personally frustrated with as a student and had heard from other students similar concerns. I was like, okay, if they think that and I think that, then there should be something that we can do about it. And so that was really kind of what started kind of the spark, I guess, to thinking about running for president. I wish I could tell like everyone that has impacted me over this past year and over my 4 years at K-State how much it's meant, like even just little things that people do, saying thank you or just being open about their concerns and their stories. Like I've always just appreciated that so much about K-State. So I think that would be the one thing that I wish I could share with everyone that has like touched me in some way while I've been here.
So, Jordan, thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thank you.
That is all the time we have today for Donut Run, and I'm going to pass it back to you, Bridget.
To see the full interview, find us on YouTube. Just search Channel 8 News. Have you got someone you think deserves to be on an episode of Donut Run? Tweet us at MHK All Day to suggest K-State and Manhattan community members you think deserve a spot on our show. Finding a place to rent can be tricky if you don't know where to start. Reporter Nathan Cox has some tips for future renters in the Manhattan area.
When looking for an apartment, it can be an overwhelming process. In today's market, with more apartments being rented than ever, you should know how to protect yourself during this process. The first thing you want to do when looking for an apartment is to search in advance so that you have a general price range. With the spring semester in swing, many students are looking for new houses and apartments in Manhattan, Kansas. For a lot of students, this will be their first time house hunting or apartment shopping without their parents. Here are some tips that can help you with this process. When going on a tour of the apartment, make sure you go into the apartment you intend on renting. During the walkthrough, pay attention to every small detail and note any damages. Some specific things to look out for are the stains in the carpet, holes in the wall, appliances, hot water and water pressure, light fixtures, and any damages to the apartment. You'll want to make sure you know which utilities are included. After the tour of the apartment and the assurance of a safe home, the next step is signing the lease. When signing a lease, it is essential to know what you are signing on to, so make sure you read all the fine print in the contract.
For those looking for additional resources, you can visit the Office of Off-Campus Housing Support's website. The office offers many different forms of assistance for students looking to make the off-campus move. These resources include guides on what to do before you rent and what to look for in a lease, locations on where to look for housing and renters insurance, and handbooks for tenants and landlords. You can find all of this information at www.kstate.edu/OCHS. Stay tuned because up next we have your sports update.
Left side three ball, yes! Throws it down! Wow! Oh my goodness, Steve! Way up above the rim and a block! Derek Brown taking on field as Alexander, and he scores! Are you kidding? Kansas State is headed to the Elite Eight!
Your identity is who you are.
Feels pretty good. Hurts a little bit when I'm putting pressure on it, but not too bad.
What's your pain level at?
Probably like a 3.
Okay, cool. So much better than yesterday.
Yeah, a lot better.
All right. Well, I'm going to start to slow it down now.
Okay.
In taking the classes and in being in industry, a lot of the classes were super applicable to going out in the industry. So it's things that are actually being taught in the real world and what are needed in the real world. There were a number of classes that you could take exactly what you learned and walk into a job and say, I've done this and this is exactly how they're doing it, and the company should feel comfortable that you know what you're talking about. It's really tangible to what you're going to do once you graduate. So that's been the best part, I'd say.
The best kept secret in Manhattan is not a secret anymore. I'm Wyatt Thompson, the voice of the Wildcats, and welcome to JP's Sports Grill. With daily chef-inspired specials, a full bar, and a diverse menu that has something for everyone, this place is guaranteed to impress. JP Sports Grill, your new favorite spot.
Welcome back to MHK All Day. I'm Avery Osen, and this is your sports report. The Manhattan High School wrestling team were runners-up last weekend at regionals and are sending nearly their whole team to the state tournament. Reporter Bailey Short spoke with these wrestlers to see how they are preparing for the big weekend.
Over this past weekend, the Manhattan High School wrestling team competed at the 6A Regional Championship. The team was the regional runner-up while qualifying 13 out of their 14 wrestlers for the state championship meet. While they were runners-up this past weekend, the Manhattan High Wrestling program has a history of excellence.
I grew up in this program, and I just love being part of the tradition, help continue the excellence that we've developed.
For 6 seniors, the state championship meet this weekend will be the last time they'll be competing for the Manhattan High Wrestling program.
Seniors is unique. We were actually, coaching staff was just talking about it. I mean, this is a special group. Every group we have, we feel are special, but this one has something about them that's a little different than, it's their own personality.
Nebraska signee Clayton Wilson is among the seniors and will compete for yet another state championship in his individual weight class.
Qualifying for state, it's just a little step in the process of becoming a state champ.
Wilson won regionals this past weekend along with fellow senior Christian Schlepp. They credit their teammates and coaches for their individual success throughout the years.
If I didn't come in here every day with the group of guys and the group of coaches, I wouldn't be where I was at. I wouldn't be succeeding.
It's sad coming here my last time with all my brothers that I've grown up with since we were 4 years old, running around Kids Club, and Coach Bomson, Coach Grader, and Coach Gonzo. Known them years beyond high school, so it's pretty devastating that it's all coming to end, but hopefully we can end it with a bang.
The Manhattan High wrestling team will look to win a state championship this weekend at the Kansas 6A State Championships. This is Bailey Short.
The state tournament will
with
take
Channel
place
8.
today and Saturday at Hartman Arena in Park City. Just 2 years ago, the Manhattan High School girls basketball team hoisted the state championship trophy and cut down the nets after winning the 6A state title. This year, the road to that moment will be a little bit tougher. The Indians are the 6th seed and will host Dodge City on Thursday night at 6. As for the boys team, they have struggled this year, and they are the 14th seed as they will travel south to take on Wichita Southeast for the first round of the sub-state tournament on Wednesday night at 6. The final 8 teams will compete at Koch Arena in Wichita to vie for the state championship. With 5 games left to go in the regular season, the K-State men's basketball team controls their own destiny to win the Big 12 title. The Wildcats are trying to become the first team to win the conference outright, other than Kansas, since Oklahoma State did it in 2004. That's 14 straight titles for the Jayhawks. K-State will host Oklahoma State on Saturday for a matchup inside Bramlage Coliseum with tip-off set for 3 p.m. After that, the Wildcats will gear up for a huge showdown with Kansas on Monday night at Allen Fieldhouse. K-State holds a 1-game lead in the Big 12 over Kansas and Texas Tech with 5 games to go. That's it for the sports report this week. Bridget, are you headed to Bramlage Coliseum on Saturday? It's a big game.
I'm not sure if I'll be able to make it, but I'll definitely be watching it and cheering for a Cats win. It's been really fun cheering them on this season. Thanks for the update, Avery. After the break, we'll talk about a popular dating app and a clothing website that lets you rent clothes. More when we're back.
TV and live on Facebook.
And you can actually see it. Come on, one more.
It's wide open for Reiki. Yes! Three-pointer! Rob gets the ball back. Left baseline. 8-footer. Good! Frankie's answer three-pointer. It's good!
Oh, it's been like the best adventure of my life. Best, hands down. Don't tell my children I said that, but absolutely the best thing ever. I've had so much fun. I've learned so much, and I think the thing that I love most about this program, the expectations are just like that of a regular full-time program. There's discussions, there's discussion board posts, there's interaction with the instructors, just like you would have if you were on campus. I love it.
A growing number of college students are promoting businesses through their social media accounts. Whether it be on Instagram or Twitter, we tend to see these promotional posts everywhere. I wanted to know what the perks were for these students, so I talked to some of these campus reps to see what it's all about. Promotional tool for businesses in today's society. Companies like Bumble and Rent the Runway are taking advantage of it on college campuses. Hallie Clark is the campus director for Bumble at K-State. What started as a dating app centered around women making the first move has now turned into a platform where you can date, find a BFF, or network for business.
Their main goal is targeting college students and young professionals, really. So their age ranges are like 20 to 30. So I think having that on a college campus is obviously helpful.
Clark and her team of reps are in charge of promoting Bumble's brand on campus in various ways.
I'm the campus director, so I oversee the ambassador program here, and some of the roles and what we have to do is we host events, we get downloads, we hand out merchandise, chalk on campus, basically just spread the word.
Taylor Chappell is another student representative at K-State for a company called Rent the Runway, a website where women can rent designer clothes and accessories for discounted prices each month.
I think it's a great opportunity, helps with social media, networking. You get great clothes, they have a great mission, so.
Clark and Chappell both believe that being a rep has many benefits that will help them in their futures.
You go into sales or any job, really you need to be able to talk, so I think that helps, and having social media background in marketing, being able to market a product is definitely helpful.
I think it's helped my major a lot with working and learning organizational skills and time management, and I think in the future it'll help me realize what female role models and empowerment is like.
Now I'm here with Rachel Genovese, the campus coordinator for Rent the Runway. Rachel, thanks for joining me today.
Yeah, of course.
So tell me a little bit about Rent the Runway and what your job entails here on campus.
So as the campus coordinator, I'm in charge of a couple reps here at K-State, and we're in charge of just trying to get the word out about Rent the Runway and hosting events with some discounts and just free giveaways.
And when I asked Taylor, she said her favorite part about being a rep was getting the free clothes. What's your favorite part about the job?
So my favorite part is obviously the free clothes, but it's really nice because you get to try out new unique pieces that you might not want to spend the money on, and it's really fun to experiment with that.
So kind of explain to me, how does the renting process work?
Yeah, so you just go online and you can look through all of their styles. They have over 500 designers on there, and you just choose what you want. You add it to your bag. You can choose to either rent something for about 4 days, 8 days. You can get a monthly subscription where you get 4 items, and then we have an unlimited subscription where you can just swap out things for every occasion that you have.
And so you brought some clothes here with you today. Tell us a little bit about what you rented this month.
So first off, I have this jacket from Free People. I really like this. It's pretty casual. And then I got these pants from Free People as well. They're really cute because they kind of flare at the bottom. And then they also have accessories on Rent the Runway, so that's really cool. You can get jewelry, purses. This is a Kate Spade bag. They have lots of designers on there, so that's nice. And then finally, I got this tank top to just pair with kind of anything and everything.
And so you have the monthly subscription. So for college students who are interested, how much does a monthly subscription cost?
So the subscription that I have is $89, but I actually have a 25% off coupon that you could ask me for, and it turns out to be $67 a month, and that's 4 items. You get to keep those items for a month, and then at the end of the month, you send them back, and then you get to choose 4 more.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for joining us today, Rachel. For more info on Rent the Runway or Bumble, head over to their websites. That's all we have for this edition of MHK All Day. Make sure to follow us on Instagram at MHK All Day News and on Twitter and Facebook at MHK All Day. Thanks for tuning in.
This is MHK All Day.